Yes, good evening to all. Welcome to Mysore Global Forum. Mysore Global Forum is an international weekly panel discussion jointly organized by the Department of International Relations and the BRICS Institute, India, to promote the students and enhance their knowledge to understand about the global issues, what is going on surrounding us, and how India is balancing the relations with other countries and Indian diplomacy, and moreover, many issues which are happening in the international community. And under this platform, we had discussions on Russia-Ukraine crisis in different perspective, like how India looks Russia-Ukraine crisis and how India is balancing, what is the Indian diplomacy, and how China it will look into Russia and the Ukraine crisis. And also maritime issues also we had in a discussion under this platform, sir. And this is my very pleasure to invite you, sir, to welcome to our forum. And also today we have a Brigadier Vivek Anand, Senior Fellow, VIF, to discuss more about Chinese investment in South Asia, how it is destabilizing the South Asian countries, and also what is the Chinese influence, how China is rising its influence in South Asia. Now, many countries we know, Sri Lanka is there, Afghanistan is there, and Nepal is there, Pakistan is there. With the under the BRI and so many projects, how China is trying to destabilizing the South Asian countries, and how best India can control the Chinese influence in South Asia. I hope students will be enlightened, students will be benefit by this discussion. Sir, it is my great pleasure to welcome to you for our panel discussion, sir. I hope you will enlighten our student. And hearty welcome to panel discussion, sir. Today we also have Professor Anand Padmanabh, Director, School of Engineering, University of Mysore, and Madam Dr. Jannavi from Karnataka State Open University, sir, to have discussions under this panel, sir. And it is a great pleasure to me to welcome these eminent scholars for our forum. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. You are most welcome to our panel discussion. We also have professors and delegates and students to discuss about the Chinese investment and how it is destabilizing South Asian countries. And moreover, sir, it is my great immense pleasure. It is my honor to welcome Dr.Binod Singh, Director, BRICS Institute, India, for his constant support, and he is a co-organizer for Mysore Global Forum, sir. Thank you, sir. Dr. Binod, you are most welcome to our panel discussion, sir. And without taking much time, I will leave the platform to Dr. Binod to continue the discussion, sir. Thank you, sir.
So good evening. Yes, good evening. And Jai Hind. And first of all, it's an honor that today we can host one of India's senior most scholar on China. I mean, China's role in South Asia and Southeast Asia. But I would like to explain a little bit background that the speaker today, Brigadier Vinod Anand sir, he didn't believe in speaking too much. And that's why he was interested by VIF to host more than 60 foreign heads of the missions and delegates to brief them on India's foreign policy. So the less said is well said. That's what Brigadier has been practicing. And today in our this online, we can say virtual classroom, which we call Mysore Global Forum for our students and for our colleagues in different part of the university. It's a pleasure that Brigadier has agreed, despite his busy schedule for the last 2-3 days in Delhi, which is the capital of India, and the kind of visits we have from different foreign ministers of the world, European nations, and we had Russian forums. It's really on the behalf of the BRICS Institute and behalf of Mysore University, sir, we are very indebted to you that you accepted this invitation on a very short notice to address us and guide us on the very hot topic for the IR students. The topic is already, it looks like it's already concluded that Chinese money or Chinese investment in South Asia or the larger region has been getting now, proving to be destabilizing more than stabilizing. But we are not going to take this foregone conclusion right now. And since we are starting this conference, so the topic is quite open and we can take the both side of the understanding how Chinese money or Chinese capital is helpful for some countries in South Asia, where India is not able to play and not being allowed to play active roles. For example, in Pakistan or say in Afghanistan, we have some issues of connectivity. So even though we want to help Afghanistan, we are being denied. So is Chinese capital or Chinese involvement is proving to be a stabilizing factor for that region, which is good for India. So instead of going for the conclusion in our topic today, I apologize that we are still open to debate that the Chinese capital or the Chinese money in this part of the world is still debatable. We cannot go for the conclusion, as many of the students, many of the companies from India, and many of the business from India, they are involved with the Chinese in different sector, whether it is Paytm, financial sector, and different sector. But at the same time, as a moderator of this discussion, I would like to mention few decisions today, what happened in the world. Canada has rejected the Huawei and ZTE as the part of Canada's 5G revolution. And today, IIT Madras has successfully tested the first 5G call, indigenously developed all the operations and network. So it's a great day for Indian science. And we are trying to prove ourselves that we can do without Chinese technology, without Chinese Huawei and ZTE. And same thing we are looking forward to doing the electronics like phones. But at the same time, being in Delhi, we get disturbed by some news that 500 SIM cards or 5,000 SIM cards has been found in Manipur or in Nepal or in Bangladesh, where the Chinese guys are operating some kind of smart money or easy money or loan schemes, which has led to some death of suicides of Indian people who have borrowed money on the Chinese apps. Again, some news, disturbing news from Ladakh and sometimes from Bombay, that our power transmission channels has been affected by Chinese cyber attack. So there are a lot of issues which we cannot discuss in such a short time, but we decided to contact someone who is at the core of India's China policy making, that is VIF, and he can guide us whether we should be alarmed, we should be careful when we take a Chinese scholarship to go and study in China, or a Chinese startup company getting a fund from China to develop itself. So, sir, I think without further delay, and also like I just forgot to mention that I have been under Brigadier Binod guidance for more than, I think, a decade now, when he visited my university, Beijing Foreign Studies University. And he is one of the veteran at VIF since its establishment. So given this all background, we request Brigadier Sir to guide us where to be careful while dealing with Chinese companies in India and around India, sir. So, sir, thank you for your time. We welcome you again.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for that introduction. And I'm very happy, rather very glad to share my thoughts on what China is doing in South Asia, what its implications are, and how do we deal, or how are we dealing with it. So this is a subject which is very vast, and it may not be possible to cover in detail all the South Asian countries where China has extended its influence in a very inordinate way, which is definitely very concerning for India. So China has reported this BRI with effect from rather in 2013. But that does not mean that it was not involved in connectivity projects and such projects even before 2013. So there are a number of factors which compelled China, or which motivated China and its leadership to promote this Belt and Road Initiative. This was announced first in 2013 in Central Asian country of Kazakhstan. And later on, a paper was also issued by the National Development Research Commission of China, which is equivalent to the erstwhile Planning Commission of India and now the Niti Aayog. So they had issued a policy paper which was titled Vision and Actions in Jointly Building Silk Road Economic Belt and 21st Century Maritime Silk Road. So this was done in 2015. And later on, the Chinese leadership, they held two Belt and Road Initiative forums in 2017 and later in 2019. So these at these forums, more than about 130 countries attended these forums, and they were very much impressed with what the Chinese had outlined. There were good about 6 to 7 corridors they were talking about. They were talking about Central Asian corridor linking China to Europe. They were talking about the China-Pakistan economic corridor and China, rather BCIM, but which of course has not materialized. But then it was the China-Myanmar economic corridor that has materialized. There was China peninsular corridor that is linking the mainland Asian countries and of course, the other Asian countries with China. And there was this 21st Century Maritime Silk Road, which linked a number of countries in the Indian Ocean to East Asia. That included even ports in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, in West Asia, and the eastern coast of Africa. Later on, they even progressed to Polar Silk Road. That is the route which one is talking about from China, Russia to that was the Arctic Silk Road or Polar Silk. So this was a vast, very big initiative. And in 2017, they had talked about spending a good about $890 billion worth of money to promote this initiative. They've gone as far as even Latin America. So this was a grand plan, and it is still a grand plan. Maybe some of it has been realized and other rest is in work, but then there have been many problems which China has encountered because of its policies, because of the way it has gone about realizing the objectives of this One Belt, One Road or Belt and Road Initiative. And at one time, it was also called Silk Economical, SERB, Silk Economic Road. And some, I cannot remember the exact thing, but anyway, so they had this grand project. And there were many domestic and external factors that motivated China to go in this. Domestically, because they wanted to utilize the surplus capacities of their, they had money, capital, they had labor. Most of the infrastructure projects in China were complete. They had the skill, and that is what they wanted to utilize uh, uh, these kind of capacities and continue to grow because they didn't want to go into recession. And at the external level or at the foreign and security policy level, they also realized that this was a good bet because they wanted to stabilize their periphery by promoting development and authorizing the peripheral provinces to uh, take part in the development of the adjoining countries, promote connectivity. Uh, as also, there was this uh, Xi Jinping's China dream. So he wanted to rejuvenate China. And at the external level, there was a question of, at that time when this was promoted, the Americans are doing a rebalancing in Asia Pacific. So they wanted, Chinese wanted to promote their own economic and strategic alternatives. So there were a number of economic and strategic reasons which compelled or motivated China to go in for this. So now I will very briefly touch on the some of these initiatives in India's neighborhood. As we are aware that now Sri Lanka is undergoing both political and economic crisis. There is a instability in Pakistan also because of a number of factors. And one factor, of course, is the stability caused by some of the insurgents protesting against the investment of Chinese in, say, Balochistan. So let's first take the case of perhaps Sri Lanka. And maybe after Sri Lanka, something on Pakistan, and then I'll also devote some time on Nepal and Bangladesh. And let me see if there is any time left for others. But so that's in Sri Lanka. I will put across a few points. As you are aware, Sri Lanka is struggling to cope with serious economic crisis, with inflation, soaring food and fuel shortages, and the fears of default on sovereign debt. So there, so in all this, China is only a contributory factor because Sri Lanka had these kind of problems due to several other factors also because of some of the policies which are not good for China, sorry, for Sri Lanka. And so I will devote time on what China did in Sri Lanka and less time on the contribution by Sri Lanka itself. So as you are aware, one of the projects which has caused a lot of problems for Sri Lanka was the Hambantota project, where now China has got the lease for 99 years. Now, this Hambantota project didn't contribute to China, to the Sri Lanka's economy, and because it was just hometown of the Rajapaksa family, which has been ruling Sri Lanka. So that Rajapaksa family, which has been ruling for a number of years, caused, this problem. As far as China is concerned, they've been, for them, it is a strategic investment. So even if they had lost money, it does not matter to them. And there is a Hambantota airport. There also, there is hardly, I think, one flight comes. So it was a losing proposition. And recently, there is also the project of port city of Colombo, which the Rajapaksa family wanted to make something like Dubai or Singapore. So there also, all these investments have contributed greatly to the present economic woes of Sri Lanka. And they also therefore contributed to the instability, the political and economic stability in a way. But then one really can't blame Chinese for all the economic problems there. And India has been willing to support Sri Lanka. And in fact, so far, India has been able to give about $6 billion total as a letter of credits or in many kind of shapes in the sense that it's also encouraging IMF to support Sri Lanka in its crisis. But China, surprisingly, has not come in to support Sri Lanka. It does not want to reschedule the loans, and they want only to restructure finance. But what Sri Lanka is looking for is something which Chinese, despite the fact that they are interested in Sri Lanka, they will not be able to give. So I leave Sri Lanka there, though one can usually speak on this a lot of times because each country deserves at least one session on this. Yes. The China-Pakistan economic corridor for China, it is just a strategic investment. It started with the fact with an amount of $62 billion, which was later reduced to $46 billion. And I think only a portion of this has been dispersed. And it's causing a lot of issues in the beginning or in the initial stages. The 4 provinces of Pakistan, they were wanting to get a piece of the action, and there was some problem. The last government of Imran Khan, which has now gone away, they had found a number of problems in the China-Pakistan economic corridor related to the lack of transparency and of capacity in the Chinese loans or debt which they had given. And it was not readily known as to the terms and conditions they were given to various entities. And recently, there were also some media reports that Chinese power companies, they have not been paid money by the Pakistani entities. So there is a lot of issue on that. And this is compounded by the fact that the Balochistan insurgency is there, and they are main project in Gwadar. I think it's coming under attack by the Balochistan Liberation Army. I think a few days or week back, there was an attack on the Confucius Center in Karachi, where some teachers, Chinese, were killed. And after that, also there was some attack in Karachi or somewhere else. But so there have been number of attacks, and maybe I think over a dozen or maybe even more than that, Chinese have been killed. So Chinese are apprehensive, and this is all. And the stability is not only confined to, say, Balochistan, because it's even in the Gilgit Baltistan area where this kind of instability does not come to notice, but because of now the Chinese have also extended, I believe, some loan to the construction of Basha Dam, which is on the border of Gilgit-Baltistan and the Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan. And India, of course, India is very, very concerned because the sovereignty of India is affected. And China has, of course, double standards in this, because a long time back in 2009, when India wanted to develop a hydropower dam in Arunachal Pradesh by taking loan from Asian Development Bank, China, on the board of directors, had stepped up and said that they should not be given because it is a disputed area between China and India. But the same thing applies to Gilgit-Baltistan or the area through which CPEC passes. So these kind of actions, etc., I think they create problems on the bilateral relationship, not only between India and Pakistan, but India and China. So CPEC is a project which India definitely does not support. So these are two countries where the Chinese contribution have created problems. But on the other hand, even in Nepal, now that the present government, which is Prime Minister Dioba is there and the communists are in the background, they are very, very careful in promoting the BRI. And China actually is not very much happy. Nepal was, you see, shown or touted as a pillar of the BRI initiative. But the implementation of projects, because of some reasons, has been very, very slow and sketchy. And recently, the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi was there, I think, in end of March. And though the BRI plans were not discussed very much, but it was clear that there is apprehension amongst the Nepalese policymakers regarding what can be said as China's strategic designs in Nepal. I mean, the communist government was better disposed to China. So what Nepalese are looking for the soft concessional loans. They want that the interest rate should not be more, there should be 2%. Now, these are the rates of IMF, because IMF gives loans the rates between 1 to 3%. Chinese loans are much cost 5 to 7%, because they are given without much conditions at that time. And the terms and conditions remain hidden. And as you are aware, in South Asia, the political elites are very corrupt, and the Chinese try to buy them out, and therefore, at a later stage, the South Asian political parties blame the previous government or the previous leadership. Meanwhile, they would have made the money. So that is another issue. This is common to South Asia. And the Nepalese wanted that the BRI project should not be exclusively given to the Chinese companies. Rest of the companies, other than the Chinese, should also participate. So that is a level playing field in which Chinese are not trying to accede to. And then you've also said that there should not be any political strings attached, meaning they shouldn't have any implication for the political parties, that is the opposite or ruling party. But the Chinese also believe that the project implementation by the Nepalese has been slow. In fact, Nepalese have been also very, very careful in taking large loans. And recently, I think the Prime Minister, we had also gone to Lumbini. A long time back, there was a project which was a Chinese project earmarked for Lumbini, developing of the Lumbini airport and other infrastructure there for tourism. So that was very attractive for Nepal. But then basically, if you look at Nepal, unless India joins in the BRI, there is no way that these projects which pass through Nepal or connect Nepal to China through Tibet, they are going to be used either to China or to Nepal. And India is opposed to joining BRI. So therefore, I think both from the Chinese side, there has been delay in implementation, and I'll say Nepalese have been also very, very careful in implementing or going ahead. And, there was recently also a project approved by Nepalese Parliament on the Millennium Challenge Corporation Fund, which is of US. And this was approved by the parliament because now the non-communist government is there. The Chinese had objected to this because that caused perhaps heartburn on the Chinese, and that maybe showed that the Nepalese are now veering away from China. So there are few more points about Nepal, but I will leave it at that. And quickly, I think, come to Bangladesh. Bangladesh is also an important part of the BRI project of China, and they had, I think, whole lot of projects planned for Bangladesh, because in 2016, President Xi Jinping had visited Bangladesh, and there were, and that was a visit after 30 years to Bangladesh, and the 2016 projects, the 2016 year, in that 2016, there were $26 billion worth of projects planned under the BRI and $14 billion as a joint projects. And therefore, the total was 40 billion. But here, Bangladesh again was very, very circumspect. They had attended both the 2015 and 2017 and 2019 Belt and Road Forum in Beijing. And while they accepted a number of things, but actually these projects have not realized because Bangladesh was also quite concerned, and there was a port which was to be developed by the name of Sonadia, and that project was cancelled, and that Sonadia was going to link to be part of the Bangladesh, India, China, Myanmar corridor. So there also as of now, very few projects have come. There are some projects like friendship bridges, but that's a very limited expenditure on that. And the total amount owed or Chinese debt in Bangladesh is about $8 billion. $8 billion is okay for Bangladesh because this is the amount of salary of the government servants, and Bangladesh has managed its economy very well. It's become an export nation. It exports a lot. Though it has got a lot of connections with China and getting the some of the defense equipment, but the present government is very very careful of keeping India's security interests in mind, while of course strengthening its relationship with China. Because there is certain section of Bangladesh intellectuals who believe that with some problems occurring in China's economy because of the US sanctions, because of any other issues, a lot of supply chains might pass through Bangladesh and give further fillip to the Bangladesh economy. So I leave Bangladesh there and very briefly mention China Myanmar Economic Corridor before I close. China Myanmar Economic Corridor is
a little bit on Afghanistan also. A few lines on Afghanistan.
Okay. So China Myanmar Economic Corridor, that's again an important corridor, and especially when the BCIM has not come up, it gives access to the Indian Ocean and Bay of Bengal and solves China's Malacca dilemma. But here also, I have a list of Myanmar projects, but I will not go into that. We can have a separate this thing. There also, the Myanmaris have been quite careful in expanding the scope of this CMAP. In fact, the Chakfu port, which was going to be developed at about $9 billion or so, that was drastically reduced to $1.6 billion. There are a whole lot of projects. One of the earlier projects of Mysore Dam was cancelled even before Aung San Suu Kyi came to power. So even though Myanmar military is obliged to China in many ways, it is careful in taking these kind of loans, which will will affect its economy. Because you see, what Chinese did in Sri Lanka, that is the Hambantota, that resonates. That resonated very well all across not only South Asia but even in Africa and Central Asia, because there are countries in Central Asia like Kyrgyzstan which have had problems on these issues. Well, as far as Afghanistan is concerned, Taliban has been very well disposed to China's approach on the issue. They want to extend the CPEC to Afghanistan. The Chinese are interested in the mineral wealth and some of these strategic elements, rare earth elements, which are there in Afghanistan. And China is also encouraging some of these Central Asian countries to have rail linkages from Central Asia to Afghanistan. But they are also concerned with the instability that is there, not only because of the Taliban. Taliban is the major contributor, of course. It's not been recognized by, I don't think any country has recognized, even though China and some of the Central Asian countries and even Russia, they do have embassies. I think India is also sending its staff, but not. But so that they have not got the recognition. But China is concerned about the Uyghurs problem, and they would like to have issue from Taliban on that aspect. So the effort. The Chinese are interested, but they are also very much careful about the instability of Taliban government, of the ISKP, and some of the other groups like IMU, and a whole lot of such unsavory characters in Afghanistan. So I'll leave Afghanistan there, and perhaps I'll close it here and take question and answers, or maybe we discuss the others. Will say something, and then we can.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Basically, we just wanted this kind of a snap view of direction of how the Chinese projects or the policies of BRI are working in our neighborhood. And the great thing was that, sir, even you covered most of the interesting countries which we expected from you, although we didn't provide you in advance. So, sir, we do have questions lined up, but we also have some colleagues from different departments, and they're also interested in China and what's happening in this neighborhood. So, before I pass on the time to my students there, I would like to invite Professor Padmanabhan, if he is listening to us. Sir, thank you for joining our forum, Mysore Global Forum. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tell me, sir.
I hope the microphone has been given to you. So basically, sir, the kind of infrastructure we are developing in India, you can see there's a lot of input from China, whether it is our metro rails or some power transmission lines, or every day we see in the newspaper that this project has been given to a Chinese company. What could be the main reason, sir? Do we really cannot do without Chinese technology or even Chinese capital? I would like your input on the presentation, why in different parts of the South Asia, Central Asia, and ASEAN countries, Chinese money or Chinese technology and Chinese companies has become kind of indispensable, despite they are failing, despite we have situation in Sri Lanka and in Pakistan, still they will welcome Chinese company and Chinese, fund to come and invest. And at the same time, India is a little bit compelled to give money to our neighbors, to Nepal. So these small countries have bargaining power that, look, India, if you are not supporting on this project, I will go to China. We will go to another country. So in this process, sir, I see our new foreign minister, he has committed, even our prime minister, both so one government, they have committed more funds than in the past for development assistance to countries like Nepal. As Brigadier Sir mentioned that in Nepal, long back in 2003, the Chinese came out with the plan of developing Lumbini with $3 billion for the whole new airport and tourist corridor and hotels. I don't know where is that project. Similarly, where I'm sitting right now in Gurgaon, they had come out with 10 billion projects, 5 billion projects to develop new cities, and they had acquired lands in Sohna. And I don't know where is that project. I was a little bit involved in that project, and I thought of that was not part of BRI, that was part of bilateral, the way India and China were going ahead. So, Professor Padmanabhan, would you like to share your insight on why we need China in South Asia, or we don't need, or we need in what way? Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Sir, anyway, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to involve in this discussion. First of all, I am basically a technical man, technically involved in all our engineering aspects. As you put in, I am in power systems. Power system, electrical power systems, wherein we could see some of the major developments in Karnataka. Karnataka, which is in India. Karnataka is one of the state wherein everything, almost all the operation has been made automatic. See, you also mentioned about the cyber attack in electrical power system, which is not to certain extent easy to do that. But anyway, as I said, Chinese technicians or engineers are quite capable of destroying our electrical system. As far as the investment, other things are concerned, I am not much aware of these investments because Karnataka is quite sufficient to generate electricity up to 20-25 megawatts of electrical power generation in Karnataka, and they are selling that to other system also. And the development of the automation is in such a way that it is not easy to have a cyber attack here. And I heard that in Bombay, that Western electricity power supply. And also before that, I can say that recently the India has been made one frequency, one nation electrical system. See, all electrical power systems was connected to one frequency, and also it is possible for us to go from Karnataka to your Delhi or to northern states, any other eastern states, or wherever possible. So this is the finest thing that has been happened in the recent days as far as the electrical system is concerned. For the projects, as I said, I don't know how far the Chinese are investing, but it is very dangerous to invite them to invite here. For two good reasons. One, there may be a betraying act or an act wherein a cyber can attack most of the parts. In 2012, we had a blackout in almost all 50% of Kannada in India, wherein it is because of the technical reason. Some people also say that it's because of cyber attack. And recently, in 2 or 3 years back, there was a cyber attack called in the western region in Maharashtra and other things. So as far as the invitation for these people are concerned, so I don't know exactly, but I can presume that it is for the infrastructure development and development of the system, but not for the operation and control of the system. When we talk about the operation and control of the system, it should be our system only. Our PhD students are working on cyber security in electrical power systems. There's a cyber security forum in India, which is looking after many things. And the investment in terms of non-conventional energy resources, maybe some companies are in, but Adani and other groups are doing very well in India and abroad. So it is possible for us, for our government, to see that all controlling action is done by our people only, not given to any other company. Only the construction part may be there. But other things, I'm little bit aware. I'm not aware of what is the project, how much investment is there, what is that is going to happen. But I can certainly say that as a director of engineering college and a part of electrical power systems, we are self-sufficient in maintaining our system. So it is not required to invite any country. We can give back to any other country here. This is what my opinion about electrical.
A follow-up question from me, if you allow me, will be, are we in a position to help countries in South Asia like Nepal,
Definitely,
Sri
sir.
Lanka, for their
Definitely.
power generation?
Definitely, we are having the electrical systems connected to Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and other things. So since we are pioneer in developing an automated electrical system as of now, when you go back to 10 years down the line back, we were not in a position to have a gas insulated substation in Karnataka. But now we are having a gas insulated substation too in Karnataka. That is the technology advancement in such a way that we can certainly go and give electrical power, not just the electrical power, all the technology which is there, which is advanced in electrical system, so that we can have electrical connectivity with the neighbor countries, Nepal, Burma, or Bangladesh, or Pakistan, or to certain extent Lanka also through cable. And it is possible for us to dominate as far as the other aspects of electrical systems is concerned. We need not depend upon any other country, as a matter of fact. So we are very much advanced in automated electrical system as of now, because one nation, one frequency, and one automation.
All right, sir. So I'll close this part of discussion here, but with one final comment from my side, that I will take your comment as theoretically, not practically, because more than 100 of my colleagues who speak Chinese, they work for Chinese power companies who have offices in Gurgaon, Delhi, and different part of India. And they have factories in Gujarat, they call it TBEA. And they've been supplying most of our power generation equipments, which is up super ultrasonic up to date. So the Chinese involvement in power sector of India for the last 10 years, 15 years has been a kind of, I have been a part of that thing, whether it's Reliance or Adani or any company, at the higher level, the deal has been made with China. And we are not able to discuss all the detail here. So theoretically, I take that my engineering school is very famous all over the world, but practically, I think we have been still dependent upon Chinese equipments.
I totally agree with that. We are depending on many things on China, but let us claim that the people are very intelligent in operating and maintenance of the system as of now. Let us purchase that, try to operate ourselves. Try to modify that, try to operate, and try to be independent of their control.
So we look forward for your guidance in writing a research and paper on this sector, that how power sector of India can really be a kind of foreign policy, of India in South Asia. That's why Chinese are involved in South Asia. If we are helping Nepal and Sri Lanka in this sector, I think Chinese will run out for the business. Their manpower is costly. They're coming here. Their safety is an issue. They're being killed in Balochistan, Pakistan, Nepal, different part of India. So Chinese people are scared to come this part, and they cannot tolerate the heat we have. When they come to India and Mysore and different part of India, it's very hot. We cannot work here. So India is naturally destined, geographically destined to be a major economic foreign policy player in South Asia. And that's what our keynote speaker today was trying to say, that Chinese projects have come for the first time in such a large way, but success ratio has been very limited. With permission of Bharati Madam, I would like to give 1 minute to our another discussant, Madam Janvi. She has been teaching students about law, different kind of law, especially the land law. And when I started my China studies journey, the very first topic we were comparing between India and China is that in China, government can acquire land for any project at any time and can remove people on a short notice. In India, land acquisition was one of the biggest issues which was holding us back for a long time. Now, today in discussion, why BRI project of China is getting into trouble in different part of South Asia, I think Brigadier Vinod Anand has said very clearly that most of the countries in South Asia are corrupt. Our politicians are corrupt. So the conditions they are signing to take money, whether it is on the high rate than IMF loans, or the project implementation, or the security, or even, as he mentioned, that the project is going only to Chinese companies, Chinese laborers. They are not employing the local laborers in those countries. So what is the, benefit to the local economy is being questioned even by Pakistani politicians in opposition in different parts of the world. So Ma'am Janvi, would you like to tell us in brief that if projects like BRIs are coming in South Asia, in different parts of Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepal, do you think that land issue, Chinese are not playing by the local law. They are evading the law by corrupting the politicians. If suppose if it is a World Bank project, IMF project, if it is a project from US ad, or from India, we do follow all the environmental issues, all the conditions. But when the project goes to Chinese, I think in a rush to complete the project in short time, they do neglect the environmental aspect of the project. Would you like to comment on this, ma'am?
Definitely, sir. What you said, that is land acquisition is very difficult in India, because all laws based on their culture, because overnight we cannot we cannot change the law. So what the culture, that's on the basis of a cultural process, we make the law. So likewise here, the judicial process like this, and because up to Supreme Court, we can reach against the acquisition of a laws. So it is a very difficult task in compared to China. In India, acquisition of a property. But even though, however, it's a one side is the process of acquisition is going on, that is one side, but acquisition process is over, only recording the compensation and whatever that the cases are going on. But acquisition itself, it is not a difficult task nowadays. They can acquire, and they can create any multi corporations companies like that. That is not nowadays, that is not an easy a tough task compared to the earlier days, because in those days it is property right is come under the fundamental right under Article 19(1)(f). In those days it was very difficult to acquisition process, but nowadays it is not a tough job. And what you said, that is it is a politicians, politics and corruptions, these are all biggest issues. That is correct, sir. It is here the biggest, because once we notified the area, or it is the project is initiated or started any project. So what they do here, the political people, or those who are having a muscle power or money power, they purchased the property, or they can create the agreement with the people, local people. Then they will sell it to the government in a higher prices. Actual owner or real owner of the property will get lower money. These are all political games and economic offenses going on. It is not easy to control here, because the population is the main reason compared to any others.
We appreciate your comment, ma'am, and we look forward for some more studies on this aspect of development in South Asia. Now we are moving to the question and answer part. I mean, we cannot hold our speaker for a long time. We apologize for that. So Pinal, are you ready? The very first question goes to one of our MA student at University of Mysore. Her name is Pinal, and she is very much interested in China and South Asia. So the floor is yours, Pinal. Please direct your question to a speaker.
Thank you, sir. My name is Pinal Trivedi, and I'm currently pursuing my MA in International Relations from Maharaja's College, University of Mysore. First of all, thank you, sir, for being here and guiding us. My question to you is, will China's enduring trade surplus with major South Asian economies contribute to the region's deindustrialization?
The question is to speaker, sir. Brigadier, sir.
Yeah, that's a very tough question. Whether it will contribute, the surplus will contribute to the e-industrialization. That is the question, I hope.
Shall I repeat, sir?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Will China's enduring trade surplus with major South Asian economies contribute to the region's deindustrialization?
Deindustrialization. Okay, D. No, I mean, yes, it's a question, but then you see what's happening is, don't only look at South Asia. China has got trade surplus with almost every country, including the US. And a very large trade surplus. The only country with it has only few countries with whom it does not have trade surplus, and that is, I think, Germany. Germany is exporting more to China, but you see, this has not led to, say, deindustrialization of America though one could say, yes, the manufacturing industry has moved away from America. On the other hand, what will happen is that with this large surplus, with growth of China the labor is getting very expensive in China. And some of these industries are already moving out, not only because of the expensive labor in China, but also because of many other related issues like COVID-19. During this period, a number of supply chains were impacted, and some of the foreign companies have moved out their manufacturing plants to, say, Vietnam, to some Southeast Asian countries, even to Bangladesh. And India was also expecting some kind of these benefits, which I think India has received, because though India's surplus, not surplus, the Indian trade overall has grown, including its exports have grown very substantially during the last 2 years. So I don't know how, I mean, maybe some economists might be able to answer this technical question, but I would like to believe that the Chinese surplus may have some other concomitant problems for China, because then the moment things get expensive in China, the production moves out, and that continues to happen. And therefore, China has to move up in the technology, like what America has been doing. Though America has a lot of other positives, it can print dollars, and there are no restrictions on that, and that currency is accepted as a universal currency by everyone. So acceptability is there, and Chinese currency is yet to be accepted. So there are many imponderables, and they cannot be the correct answer to what you have asked. But I can only give this limited answer to your very profound question.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you so much. There's an online question from Nitish Raj in the chat box. He's asking that the question is very much related to what Pinal asked today. Question is China working on a one region, one money project? Is Chinese are first promoting their currency in this part of the world with their BRI project? Any comment on this, sir?
I'm not sure about one region and one money project, meaning utilizing Chinese yuan. And stock and Dept is just one step of the project of any region in the country. So
the question is not very clear, but what I understand is that he's promoting Chinese currency here.
Promotion of China, yes, China would like to do that. At least, and it's worked, I think, on that. But I think because China has got a lot of currency reserves in US dollars, so that also has some kind of impact on China promoting its currency. It is the acceptability of Chinese yuan all over the world, which might perhaps help China, but I think that time is quite far away. Till the time the Americans are in the preeminent position, the yuan's use is going to be restricted. But then anything can happen, because as the Russian-Ukraine crisis show, during the beginning of, at the commencement of the conflict, the ruble had gone down. And when when Putin said, okay, you pay me in rubles for the oil and gas which even Europeans were taking, then the Russian ruble climbed up. Now its value of ruble has gone up, and its value has gone up more than it was before the commencement of crisis.
68 something, yeah.
So there is a certain power in if you are a country with commodities, but then commodities cannot, the prices can fluctuate very widely because of the international circumstances. This is again, I mean, one has to wait and watch, and one cannot say yes. China is definitely working on making yuan international currency. Like maybe even euros or others or hard currency, but then it has to change a number of its policies, which may be too early to do this.
Thank you very much, sir. I think we totally agree with you, and there's still some time that yuan will be accepted as well as euro and dollar. It will take some time. Mr. Alok, are you there? The floor is yours to ask the question to Brigadier, sir.
Very good afternoon, sir. Sir, thank you so much for having this kind of panel discussion. Sir, my name is Alok, sir. I'm second year student in IR department, University of Mysore. Sir, my question is, how does Chinese influence in ASEAN?
ASEAN.
China has got, you see, large, or you can say it has influenced ASEAN in many ways. ASEAN talks about its centrality, but China has been able to drive a wedge in ASEAN centrality in its decision making. It has adopted a policy of divide and rule in ASEAN. Now, Laos and Cambodia, they are firmly on the side of China. And this year, Cambodia is in the chair of ASEAN for the period 2022. And so this year is also important for ASEAN because it's after COVID, and ASEAN response to Ukraine crisis has also been some sort of divisive, not unified, not very much organized. On the other hand, one can say that the ASEAN being far away from European theater is not very much affected. So in a way, it is affected because of the economic issues and some of these strategic issues. So the Chinese have been exerting a lot of influence on ASEAN. In South China Sea, you would be aware of what's happening in South China Sea, expansion of China's influence, of its island building or some activities. And the countries that are affected are, of course, Vietnam, Indonesia, its disputes with the Philippines to an extent with Brunei. So ASEAN are also very much affected by the economic, the relations which have with China. They are in fact dependent upon China for their growth. For instance, Vietnam has a trade, both Vietnam and Malaysia trade with China on over $100 billion, almost to the extent of what India has with China. And so they are in a bind because of the military and economic muscle or heft which China has. These Asian countries have to depend on China. But at the strategic or security level, China is creating a lot of problems and is increasing its influence. That's why some of these ASEAN countries they look up to India, Japan, to Australia, to the US, to evolve policies which can reduce the influence of Chinese, or at least, but they don't want also to be part of any US-China contestation in the Indo-Pacific. So these are some of the very contentious issues where the ASEAN has been, which the ASEAN has been trying to deal with, but there's no perfect solution so far. Yeah,
Right.
of course, I can go ahead, but
The whole Central Asia,
Thank you.
ASEAN,
Thank you.
South Asia, it really needs to whole day, 2-day conference. I think, Madam Bharati, you should invite Brigadier Sir to Mysore for a whole day conference.
Sure, sir.
Yes.
We are very happy to see Brigadier Sir in Mysore. We will
I'll
learn
just finish 2 more questions. One is from Marin. Marin, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, send me a question. Please ask your question quickly because we are running out of time a little bit.
My name is Merin. I'm a student of International Relations under University of Mysore. First of all, I would like to thank you, Brigadier Vinod Anand, for such an insightful talk you've given us today. Now, I would like to continue with my question. Do you think China has become engine of growth in terms of technology for South Asia?
Well, it's engine of growth not only for South Asia, but also for the rest of the world. See, sometime back, before or around 2008, we were talking about India and China as the engine of growth in Asia. But China has still remained an engine of growth, though its growth after COVID and its restrictions still going on with restrictions. COVID restrictions still going on in Shanghai and Beijing. And because of several other contributory factors, the growth has come down to about 4% or 4% plus. Whereas India's growth, the forecast is much better. Some are indicating about 8% plus growth. So India is the next growing power, and it is expected to be the third largest economy in dollar terms, and maybe in the next by about at least 230. So that is the China is likely to reach what the economists on the middle income trap, or its income growth will reach a certain saturation point. Beyond that, it perhaps will not grow at even, the growth will be less than 4%. Whereas India, because of several contributory factors, like I was reading also that in China, by a certain time in 2040 or 50, the population of the old people will be over 65 years, will be much more, and there will be less working age population. Whereas India does not face this demographical problem. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
There was a disturbance, yeah, but we can hear very well, sir.
Yeah. So there are many contributory factors in the economic growth of India and China. So hopefully India will be doing much better, and China's growth has come down. So engine of growth, I think India is also engine of growth, so not only for South Asia, but for Asia as well as other rest of the countries in the world. So that's why Prime Minister Modi has been talking about that if India grows, the world will also grow. That's the positive image he is.
It's a great news for all of us, sir, as Indian economy is growing at the highest level, and we should be ready. That's why we are doing this conference, this seminar, that what is exact India's position and how we can, go out of India.
Yes, you see why in end of March, you see there were a lot of countries coming from Europe talking. They were coming not only from Europe, even the Chinese foreign minister was here in March in Wang Yi. Before he went to Nepal, he came to India. Before India, he was in Pakistan, attending, of course, the OIC summit. And a whole lot of Europeans, heads of state came in India because they wanted, they all are recognizing that India is the next engine of growth. Not that it was not earlier, but it's an important engine of growth now. And they want to trade and they want to secure, they want to interact with India on all the issues, the global issues on global governance. That perhaps is my short answer.
But sir, I don't know how is the China studies is being affected now in India. We have one colleague from KR Mangala University. They have started a Chinese department in Sohna, Gurgaon. My colleague name is Raju Ranjan. He would like to say one question to you, sir. Raju, are you unmute? Can you speak?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Please.
Sir, thank you so much for your presentation. It was really great. Sir, my question is again related to India, because South Asia is not only the land of facts, but also the land of perception, where the media widely, they influence the people and people are influenced by each other, by the perception. So, and there is continuous discussion about India and China in this region, and in Pakistan about India and Pakistan. So I want to understand from you that in the battle of perception, where do you see India coming ahead, as we all are discussing about the development of India? So coming ahead against China, because in South Asia, India looks very helpless in terms of the perception of the people.
Question. Thank you. Short.
Thank you.
Maybe I will not perhaps agree with that premise that India looks helpless. Yes, in the perception or India or the Indian media may not be good, and that's only a certain section of the media, and that section of media has a particular ideology, and that section of media is also funded by some of the interests which are inimical to the Indian national interests. So India is a vast country, a diverse country, very country where you have all kind of opinion. And I mean, India, if you have attended any international conference, the Indians are the one which who ask most questions in an international conference. Whereas any other Asian, and they will keep quiet, they'll be silent, and they'll listen more rather than ask questions. But that is our heritage, because as you are aware, in Mahabharata, in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked a whole lot of questions, and he was still not convinced by Shri Krishna. That's in our genes. But
I think the perception is changing. I think now the perception is changing now a bit.
No, perception. See, the perception abroad is changing, but even there is a section of media, international media in America, in the UK, in some of these Western countries, in Canada, which takes an absolutely opposite view of India. If you read some of the reports, they call India as authoritarian state. No, is India authoritarian state? China is not. Pakistan is not. And it's they are also calling it as some kind of a democracy, limited democracy, or partially free democracy, or some such, or partially free media. So these are disinformation campaigns. They are funded by some people whom, of course, I know and a lot of people know. So it is up to you to get either impressed or influenced by this, or I mean, but I think it'll be the more you read, the more you study, and the more you go back to your roots, you will realize that India is doing very well compared to many other countries in the region.
So very well convinced, sir. It's a very biased world, and we have to speak for India. If we speak more, I think they will try to change the perception. So please, all of you, write. We have last 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Karthik, are you there? Karthik, very young student of BA. Karthik, the floor is yours. Please shoot your question. Karthik. Oh, unmute. Please unmute, Karthik.
Thank you. Good evening, sir. Thank you for that enlightening session. I'm Karthik KJ, a political science student with University of Mysore. My question is in regard to the Blue Dot program, or the initiative that the US has floated. Up until now, China has invested more than $900 billion in the Asian region, and it is pegged to put in 1.3 trillion by 2027. So how are we going to counter this? And if we are to counter this, can we do this as single entities, or is it better we go in alliance on the Quad platform? Should we join the Blue Dot initiative?
So there is going to be, I think the Quad summit is coming up, and Prime Minister Modi will travel to Japan to attend that. And some of these issues might be discussed there, because Blue Dot initiative, as part of the Indo-Pacific initiative or Quad, I think this is a very small or meager amount for the connectivity projects. And so I think the Quad countries or Quad plus countries, they have to earmark a very large portion or large funds for their connectivity projects in the Indo-Pacific. So Blue Dot, not good enough. So I think that is the short answer. And in this, of course, in the Quad summit, I think there are some of the issues regarding security. They are discussed but not revealed, in that sense that they do not come out like a joint statement. And the joint statement is a very sanitized version, and all points related to, other than the security, dialogue, they come up in this joint communique of the. But Blue Dot, very meager, very little, not much consequence. More than that money India has given to Sri Lanka, 6 billion or so, but of course. So anyway, it's a process. So it has started. So let's see how much more these powers can do. That will be my answer.
All right, so we'll follow up this topic. And so,
Yes,
and all of you, if you want, Karthik, please allow me to finish it because I have another 2 minutes. I'm sorry. You'll have more chance, and you'll have to go to VIF website. I'll share the link.
Sure.
There are a lot of very good papers, very well balanced paper, which you need to study and then come back to us. And I take the liberty from Brigadier Sir, being his student and being his colleague, that whenever you come to Delhi or this part of India, you can meet Sir. I can organize the meeting. You can have a chat on coffee with Sir. So please allow me to, finish this. We have one colleague from China. He's a teacher, professor at university. What is your name of the university, Vivek? Can you please repeat? Mr. Vivek, you have hosted Brigadier Sir. Do you remember? You have hosted me and Brigadier Sir and the whole delegation from VIF. Vivek, can you unmute?
Yes, sir. Namaskar, sir. Sir, I still remember.
Okay. So please share your views.
Sir, thank you, sir. So my question is, how long will it take, hypothetically, to become the option against Chinese hegemony in South Asia?
Yeah, now that's a tough question. I mean, there is no straight answer to that question, because as long as you see, what spoils the whole show is Pakistan. So, given the DNA of Pakistan and its hostility to India, I think and because we also want to be ready for any Pakistan Chinese collusion and then their war on two fronts. So here also, I wonder very much if one can give any time limit or any time, by what time will India will be able to exercise its due influence in South Asia. So that timeline is difficult to be forecast, but we can work for that. Because Chinese work on a very, very long plan of 50 years and 100 years. So we can also work on that. But that plan may not only be limited to either territorial aggression. So we have to find ways and means to do that. But that will be very long. But because of the nature of our polity, which changes after every 5 years, it's very difficult to make any long-term plans. Even though we are unified in a way to teach Pakistan a lesson. But well, that is it. I don't know if there is anything else I can say.
So thank you for all the diplomatic answers, sir. I mean, you are from military background, but what a diplomat you have become. I respect you, sir. It's very balanced, and we have on TV another military man. I just forget his name, sir. Baxi, Mr. Baxi, and now we have Sir you. So as very totally two different personalities on China on different issues. I think we'd like to hear more from you, sir. Whenever you have time, you visit Mysore. We have one more colleague, Chandan. He just joined us. Chandan, what is your question, please? Very quick.
So, good evening, sir. I'm Chandan from the IR department in the University of Mysore. So, my question is, sir, if fully implemented, the Belt and Road Initiative projects could increase trade between 1.7% and 6.2% for the world, increasing global real income by 0.7% to 2.9%, sir. So it's World Bank data, sir. So my question is, sir, if the BRI can actually increase employment, improve infrastructure, reduce costs of trade, and increase real income, why is it facing so much resistance on a global level?
It's the practices which have been adopted by Chinese. Like I was mentioning, there is a lack of transparency in the terms of loan. And then there are always some hidden agendas behind these loans or debts. And if all these loans or projects, they were open to transparency or competition and the other you see companies other than the Chinese were also allowed, then perhaps and the requirement of the country where these projects are being executed, or the requirement of that population, at least the local labor should be employed, local practices have to be respected. Because the Chinese go there with their own labor, set up their own camp, start living in exclusion away from the local population, and then there is all kind of resentment. And then there is also exploitation by Chinese companies. Whether you look at some of these projects in Africa, or like I was mentioning earlier in Kyrgyzstan, the government had to give a gold mine for some of the debts which Kyrgyzstan could not pay because it's a poor country. And therefore, those are some of the issues, the Chinese practices, which you see raise all these kind of objections to how the Chinese are giving loans, how they are dealing with the elites, corrupt elites. Where some of these countries, there are weak institutions, and they cannot, you see, manage these debts. All kind of those problems lead to this kind of some sort of a throwback against the Chinese.
So
when you look at the Mekong Delta, there you see there are problems along the river where even though Laos and Cambodia, they are supporting China, but in fact the dams which have been created on this Mekong River, they are creating at times droughts, at times floods. The fisheries, the agriculture, all have been annihilated. So, and there is nothing which those countries can do. The public, of course, in the normal public, there is a resentment against the Chinese products. A lot of cases, even in Africa.
Sir, in this 1.5 hour discussion, and now finally we have got our conclusion, and most of the students and colleagues are scholars here. So without saying anything, sir, you have said everything. Your knowledge today and your expertise today is very old, and I mean, we are not born when you started watching China. Even most of us were not born. And for the last 3 decades, you have been very active in academics. And today, what you shared on China's Belt and Road Initiative is so vast, so big, that all of us are not able to catch up all the points. So definitely, we look for a long-term association with you. And University of Mysore is the first time inviting you, but their students would like to be guided by you, work under you. And as you have been one of the patron of my institute, BRICS Institute, so it's an honor for me to introduce you to University of Mysore. And as tradition of this forum, Mysore Global Forum, I invite one of my young students to see if, I mean, we are not able to thank you really in the gratitude, but as per tradition, I ask Saheli to say a few words, sir, to express our feeling from heart that how grateful we are that you took out time and spent with us 1.5 hours. And you took so many questions, sir. Most of the questions were not well formed, not well informed, but you patiently took them and corrected them and replied them. So it was all mistake on my part that I have not done my homework in housekeeping. I beg your pardon, and I give the podium to Saheli. Saheli, would you like to express gratitude on behalf of our 2 institutions? And then Madam Bharati will do the closing ceremony. Saheli, the podium is yours.
A very good evening to all. It's my pleasure to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of Mysore Global Forum. First and foremost, I thank Professor G. Hemant Kumar Sir, Vice Chancellor of University of Mysore, and Professor Anita Vimla Braggs Ma'am, Principal of Maharaja College, for their constant support. I take immense pleasure in extending my sincere thanks to our speaker, Brigadier Vinod Anand Sir, who, despite of his busy schedule, has found time to grace this event. Sir is a senior fellow at the Vivekananda International Foundation, New Delhi. Earlier, he was a senior fellow at the Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis. Also, he writes on military and strategic issues, including regional and international security. We are really very happy to have you, sir. Once again, thank you so much for being with us. I also like to express my heartfelt thanks to Professor Dr. T. Anand Padmanabhan, sir, Director of School of Engineering, Mysore University, and Assistant Professor Dr. Janhavi S.S. Ma'am from Karnataka State Open University for their valuable presence. A special thanks to Dr. Vinod Singh, sir, Director of BRICS Institute India, for his constant support and guidance. I also must give my gratitude to Dr. Bharati Hiremath, ma'am, Head and Coordinator of International Relations Department, for giving us this opportunity. A special thanks to Dr. S. Chandanayaka, sir, Coordinator of IOE, for helping us in many ways. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the teaching faculty of our department, dignitaries, scholars, and students who have joined this panel discussion, and also those who work behind the screen, especially Manjunathan sir, Renuka Hiremath, Milan, Shashank, PhD scholar Vijay Kumar NC, Sandil, and obviously the students of International Relations Department for making this event a successful one. Before ending, I'm very glad to announce that we have another panel discussion on politics of Sri Lanka's economic crisis, internal and external dimension next week. I hope all of you will join sir on that day also. Once again, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bharati Madam, would you like to do the closing ceremony? Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Brigadier Vinod Anand. It is really today, it's a great day for our student, especially for me. I enjoyed the classroom. I got to know the economic investment, how China is destabilizing South Asian countries. And also, moreover, as an academician, sir, I am really very much interested in China's influence in South Asia. Because as a India, of course, we have I'm especially personally, I'm very optimistic, sir. I hope India will be able to, control the influence of China in South Asia. Not, of course, from the, not to become as a hard power, with the help of its soft power. India can control the influence of South Asia. With this optimistic hope, we will conclude today's discussion. Once again, sir, it is immense pleasure to me to see you in Mysore, sir. It's a regular series of international panel discussion. We are expecting many more scholars and eminent persons like you people, sir, in upcoming days. Thank you, sir, for this, Dr. Binod. I am really very grateful to Dr. Binod, sir. Once again, thank you so much, sir, for everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, Brigadier sir, once again for taking.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
We look forward to see you. Jai Hind. Bharati Madam, thank you so much to inviting experts from power sector. We can have a discussion on power sector sometime.
Yes. Yes,
because
sure.
I had 2 hours power cut right now in Gurgaon. So I'm just holding on, this backup. So, sir, why not our technology from South can come to North? What is the divide in North and South?
Sir, as we know, sir, India immediately, when China started to emerge as a powerful nation in South Asia, and when it started to enter into South Asia, then India immediately, I think, sir, it wake up, now it got aware about that. Immediately, it completed 9 projects, sir, pending projects with Nepal and Sri Lanka, many more countries. I think it's a good lesson for India. India should, we should try to become, we are not telling India is, of course, we are, great power in South Asia. But anyway, we should look into this, sir, these issues, how India can overcome all this, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for bringing all the experts, and hopefully next week we'll have something specific on Sri Lanka.
Yes, sir.
So please take care. And if you come to Delhi, let us know. We'll have a good chat on coffee.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.